Today's webinar is presented by Bernadette Schwert from the Australian School of Copywriting. Bernadette is the founder and CEO of the Australian School of Copywriting and the author of the best-selling manual Copywriting for Profit. She has trained over 3,000 people in the art of writing words that sell and is in high demand as a corporate speaker on advertising, copywriting and social media copywriting. She is a former marketing presenter on Channel 9's The Small Business Show and a regular columnist for business magazines including Working Women, Australian Business Solutions and Real Estate Institute of New South Wales. Also, on another note, if you would like to start a conversation within the social media world, please feel free to talk on Twitter by using the hashtag #RBWebinar. Now I will pass the microphone on to Bernadette.
Thanks, Asa, for that introduction. Now I'm sitting here in Essendon, Victoria, on a very bleak and grey day, and it's my very great pleasure and privilege to have been invited to speak with you today by Redback Conferencing. And as you can see, I'm Bernadette Schwert. That's my little pic there on the corner. That's what I look like on a very good day with great lighting, a wind machine, and an incredibly talented makeup artist. I don't look like that right now, which is why we're not using webcam. But look, I've been training people on the art of writing web copy for many years now, but I don't think that the relevance of this topic has ever been more important than it is today. And I'll show you why a bit later. We've got a lot of people enrolled today, which I think reflects the importance of this topic. Now, we could be forgiven for thinking that social media has taken over as the most important tool in our marketing toolkit, but, you know, there seems to be a story about Facebook or Twitter every day in our newspapers. But to me, it's a bit like this. If company websites and social media websites were sisters, it's a bit like the company website is the stay-at-home, the plain Jane of the two, you know, solid, dependable, reliable, the one who does the dishes, takes out the rubbish and keeps the house functioning, while the social media site is like the Kim Kardashian of the house, you know, getting all the attention, swanning around, having fun, getting her pick in the paper. So my message to you in this webinar is it's time for us to stick up for the plain Jane, you know, to fight back on her behalf, because the website is the heart of any organisation and it needs to have the time and attention and resources that it deserves, and that's why I've been asked to speak with you today. So I'll launch right into it. I've got 1 hour with you and I've got a lot to cover, so I'll get started right away. Now, the world of copywriting, it's a mystery to many. Many people think it's trademark, intellectual property and protection. It's not. It's about writing words that sell. And the question I get asked a lot is, can you learn how to do it? And it is very much a learnt skill. Yeah, some people are better at it than others naturally. It's just a gift that they might have. But I really want to let you know that it's a learnt skill and you can become a better writer. It's not a matter of you're born one or not. You can become better. The other thing I'd like to introduce in this webinar is that the concept of copywriting is a discipline. It's a way of thinking about your business. And I'm going to call your businesses businesses, even though they're the government and public sector. It's a process of asking questions and seeking answers. And to that, we use the 21-point creative brief. Every time I take a brief from a client, I'm using my creative brief. I'm happy to share that with you afterwards if you want a copy, but it's a very important document because it means that no matter what client I'm working on, what product, what service, what target market, I know what questions to ask that help me write better copy. So I encourage you to work from the brief every time, even if you know your business backwards, because inevitably it will help you write more effective copy. Now, for today, I'm going to use some case studies. Keep Australia Beautiful from WA have given me permission to use their website as a starting point for discussion, which was very kind of them. I then picked a random website just looking at government websites, and the one I chose was New South Wales Government Trade and Investment Site, Landcom and Sydney Water. So I'm going to be using real-world things to talk to you today about. I do have some resources for you. So when I start talking about how to write headlines and I'm talking about the formulas, don't feel like you have to take copious notes, because I can give you an ebook which has all the formulas in it. And I've also got an ebook on how to write web copy. So I've got lots of resources for you afterwards because I only have an hour with you. You can easily nominate the box at the end of your survey today when you finish, and just tick that box and I'll make sure that that information gets to you. So the question I'm often asked is, you know, why does copywriting matter? And my answer to that is it's essential, because when someone lands on your website, the first thing they see, other than the design and the colours, are the words. So the words that you use and the words you choose to use to describe your business have a massive impact on whether people take note of you, whether they believe you, whether they dive deeper into your website. So it creates a very important first impression. And that's not to say, you have to have it correct spelling and all that sort of stuff, but it's actually just the elegance of the way you write something that gives people a feeling about your brand. Secondly, and hugely important, is it determines where you rank. The words that you use, Google are looking at to determine how will they place you on the search results page. So it has a very practical, hard edge to it. You must use the right words in the right way to get ranked. And as I've mentioned, it determines whether people buy your service or not. And again, I'm going to treat everyone here today as a service or a product because we are all essentially giving something or offering something to a consumer. And, you might be an authority or a government department, but I would suspect you might have competitors in some form or other, or you might be needing to prove your relevance. So you need to have those visitors, you need to have those eyeballs, you need to have that data to show various people that people are engaging with your site. So even if they're not buying from you vis-a-vis a competitor, it's important that they they demonstrate they are engaging with you. So to me, copy is more important than ever, and this very fractured world where content marketing is really providing a lot of distraction, we really have to get back to the basics, I think. So the first thing I always do when I speak with a client is I try and clarify the site objectives with them. What do you want the site to do? And again, copywriting is not something you do once the site's been developed, and it's not something you do once, all the menu tabs have been organised. It's something that starts at the very beginning of the website development process. So it's about good planning. As I said, you conduct the creative brief. It's a series of questions, things like, who are your competitors, or who is offering similar information to you? What business are you in? Even if you are an authority or a government department, who else can do what you do? I know there's a lot of sites that I've been looking at from the people who are on this call today. A lot of Department of Trade and Development and, tourism and arts. And, you're offering fantastic information. But that information is also available through other sites. So you do have competitors even if you are a government department. So things like site structure, I often get asked to come in and tweak something or edit something, and I often have to say to the client, look, I can, but it's really like changing, the deck chairs on the Titanic. It will look a little bit different, but the ultimate result will be the same. The ship's going down. So it's very important that you look at the overall picture with copywriting and not just the words on the page. So here's what people do when they come to a site, and we are all consumers, so put yourself in your market's shoes, and, what do prospects want from you? Well, they might want information about your services. They might want resources for their business. They might want regulatory or compliance information. It's very important, like for Fair Work Australia, that everything's accurate. Maybe it's just an information pack. Maybe it's instructions on how to do something, say, with a council. We have the Sutherland Shire here today. Maybe it's to make a complaint, a comment. So first steps is for you as a business owner, I'm going to treat you as business owners or business employees, is to work out what do people want from our site. And then you need to think about the structure. And I know you're probably thinking, hey, I was just coming here for writing. I was just coming here for the words. But I have to inform you that it's actually bigger than this. The words that you use in the menu tabs, the words that you use in your side panels, the words you use in your links, the words you use to describe an image. These are all SEO factors that influence how you rank, and you choose those words. So you are the copywriters, so it extends to all these on and off page factors. So everything you see there, the navigation, the design, the social media, the web pages, all the links that come into your site, they all have an impact, and that's all about the words that are being used to write those things. And that often shocks people. They think, I thought it was just the words on the page that we see. It's like, no. It's all the meta tags as well behind the scenes. So let's accept that our number one goal as a business owner or a business employee, no matter what your business, is to get found on Google, because that's where most people start their search. Now, in this presentation today, I'm not going to assume any knowledge at all, so I'm going to start with the basics of SEO, search engine optimization. I know there'll be people who are experienced with this, but I have to assume that some aren't also. So really, SEO is the art of getting seen in the search engine's natural or unpaid search results. I'm using Google as a euphemism for all the search engines because it does have 70 to 90% of the market depending on who you talk to. So our objective is to own that first page of SERPs, the search engine results page, based on your preferred keyword terms. And I'll be talking about keywords a bit later. And the reason we want to own that first page is we don't want people going anywhere else but to our site. We all know that people do not generally flick through to page 2 on Google. In fact, it's the first 5 results that get looked at. After that, people change their search terms. Now, why is this important to get seen on page 1? Because it's about reducing risk. People want to know that whatever site they go to, that whatever site Google serves up is the best site for them. And if there's a number of sites that come up with a particular search request, then the consumer's thinking, well, this must be the best site to go to. And that's what you want people to do. You want to have all the eyeballs on your site. So it's important that you own those first pages, or the first page at least. So just to go down into the SEO, every purchase almost begins with a web search now, or researching begins with a web search. So this search marketing function is the foundation on which all other marketing should be built. And, we need good, precise research copy in order to have effective search engine optimization. It's not a matter of luck. You have to do a little bit of the hard yards to find out, well, what are your keywords? So what is SEO? Well, I'm going to show you a classic site. It's just a used car search results page. And this often surprises people that not all of these listings are organic. So, for example, these little faded flesh colour labels results are pay-per-click, and the ones down here as well. So you pay to get there. And again, I know you mostly know that, but a lot of people don't. I do my workshops. I say, who knows, about organic or pay-per-click, and there's this blank look, so I never assume anything. But the real business begins here at the organic level. This is where you really want to show up, because this is where a lot of people say, I always ignore those pay-per-click, even though they don't know that term. But I ignore them because they always look a bit dodgy, a bit spammy. So people do know to look here, and this is where you want to go. And you only get there by having great content, lots of factors which we'll talk about later. So getting found, once you've been found on page 1 of Google, that is just the beginning. Then you've got to be clicked on, and then people have to engage with your site. So how do you do that? Well, firstly, you have a great title, and you have a great description in your Google search, but I'll talk more about that later. But once people get to your site, you've got to have great content. You've got to have the matching of their needs to what you have to offer. So you have to understand what their needs are before you start writing. So how do you work out what the needs are? Well, you conduct a needs analysis, which is also part of the creative brief. And this is where we get back to the basics of marketing, and I think this is what's been overlooked with a lot of the social media avalanche, is that we have to just get back to basics. Social media is just another channel, but we really have to think about, well, who's our target market? And I know you'll have many within your organisations. You think, where do I begin? Number 2 is, what are we selling? What are people coming to us for? And number 3, why would they choose to buy from us? Buy, research, involve, whatever you want to call it, some kind of engagement. So we have to get back to this, and even though these seem like really simple questions, they are actually quite complex and require a lot of thought. And especially this one, what are we selling? What business are we in? Often confuses business owners. So step 1, let's look at who's our target market. Who wants and needs our information? Now, traditionally, we've broken this down into demographic and psychographic principles. Demographics meaning we segment our audience on who they are, their age, their gender, their job, their location, their title, income, marital status, religion, ethnicity. Still very accurate and still a very important way to go, particularly with a government website where you are dealing with vast numbers of different types of people. It helps us to have a snapshot of the types of people who are coming to you. The next thing would be to look at the psychographics. This is more about how people feel, what their values and behaviours are. And, of course, this is much more hard to pin down, but it's important that we have an idea of what they feel. So you might be looking at what are their interests, what do they value, what do they read, what do they watch, what do they listen to, and what keeps them awake at night. In terms of your business, your organisation, have a think about what is it that vis-a-vis what you offer that keeps them awake at night. So for a trade development site, you've got business owners. Maybe their issue is cash flow, maybe their issue is marketing, maybe it's website, maybe it's property interest rates, whatever it might be. Try and think from their point of view what keeps them awake at night. And then what you can do is tailor your copy to meet those particular worries and needs. So what you could do is just have a visual representation of your audience, and I've just done this as a general product, whatever it might be, but think about, well, who is in your audience? Is it the Gen Y? Is it women aged 40 to 50? Is it baby boomers? Is it marketing directors, small business owners? And then once you've actually got a handle on who are the key audiences of your business, think about the next step, which is, are they all equal? Because you cannot invest equal resources into all your target markets. It's just not possible. So it becomes a case of, well, where do we put our resources in terms of targeting our copy and targeting our offers so that we try and be the best that we can for the biggest number of people who are interested in our service. So, I often get asked this question, but, we target everybody. And that could be the case, but if you write copy that's trying to target everybody, you'll generally reach nobody, because the copy is so bland and so broad and so generalised that no one actually picks up on it and says, that's true for me. That's a worry that I have. I'm going to engage with this. And so that's the problem. You can't be everything to all people, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So another thing I teach my students to do is to, when they've got their target market in mind or their target markets, is to try and visualise that person and try and find someone in your own life who represents that. For me, if I was looking at a retiree or, a senior citizen, I'd look to my mother. If I was looking for, a mother of, children, school age, I'd look to myself. So just try and look to people who are in your circle who match your target market, because if you can visualise them, you're going to have a much better chance of writing for them in their voice and understanding what their needs are. So for this example, you might want to even give it a picture, and this is really helpful. It might be Sonia and Eric, the cashed up business owners, or it might be Barry, the board member. If you can visualise someone who represents your market, it's going to be very helpful. It could be Eddie, the entrepreneur. I'm doing a series of interviews with entrepreneurs at the moment, and they all tend to be very high risk taking people. Corporate Kate, maybe she's the marketing director of a big multinational. Maybe it's Sally, the small biz mumpreneur. Try and get a picture of the market that you're talking to so you can write more effectively. Now, why do we need to know all this? Well, we have to walk a mile in our customers' shoes. We have to understand their fears and their wants and their hopes, what keeps them awake at night. These are the things that make us great writers. When we avoid these things, we tend to write what I call blancmange, which means nothing to nobody. So step two, what are we selling? Well, what are they wanting from us? What are we offering? How can we build a bridge between those two things? So you have to be clear about the benefits it offers your customers. How does it make their life easier, less painful, more enjoyable? All the things that we need to understand in order to write good copy. Now, step three is why us? Why should they choose us? What's our unique selling proposition? What do we offer that others don't? How can we get them to engage? Maybe we offer an email address and, well, they give us an email address, and in return we give them a download of a report or an ebook. Maybe we ask them to attend an event. In some way, I encourage you to think about how can you use the homepage to invite them to engage with you so that you can capture some of their details, so that you can start a relationship and a conversation with them. And lastly, why should they choose us now and not later? So it becomes an urgency factor. We want them to take action now. So in this case study I'm about to show you, it's really just a random choice. It was a New South Wales State Government Trade and Investment website. How can they meet the needs of their target market? So I'd encourage this organisation to think through the target market, what are they selling, and why us? So there's a quick snap of their homepage, and upon first glance, it's actually a really lovely looking page. But there are some assumptions made here, which is one of the big things that my clients fall into, is they make assumptions that people understand something that the audience actually don't. So by looking at this, I'm looking at the headlines. It makes an assumption we already know who the New South Wales Trade and Investment Organisation is, because there's no introduction to who they are. Yes, it is in the About Us, but that's buried deep in a sub-menu. So the first thing you see is just think about the Small Business Toolkit. And if you're a multinational thinking about setting up, your headquarters here in Sydney, and you see that, you think, oh, this is only for small business. So you have to sort of have a good look around to see, is this for us? So it's important that whatever appears first gives a very credible and accurate description of what the organisation is about. So I've just created some copy that could be appropriate for this. Okay, I haven't spent a lot of time on it, but I'm just going to give you a second to have a look at that. In terms of trying to be as broad as you can, but being as specific as possible. So just take a moment to read that. So what I've tried to do is create a headline 1, header 2, and then some body copy, which leads people through the process of understanding what this site is about. And then, of course, you can direct people throughout. But I think it's important every site has an introduction. I'm going to skip through that because I'm just conscious of time. But look, some of the learnings that I got from doing this research for that particular website was you can never assume people understand who you are, what you do, and what you offer. So you must use short sentences on that first page, or all pages, plain language, lots of white space so the text doesn't look too dense, and sub-headlines to break up that text. You need to have a well-written introduction to the site, and your site menu tabs need to direct the traffic, so they need to be carefully constructed because people do look to those tabs to work out where should I go next. So some tips that people don't always come to your site via the home page. So every page must be clear about what you offer. It must be a standalone page that makes sense in and of itself. So that's important to know that we don't always come to a website via the home page. My next case study is Keep Australia Beautiful, and there's a quick snapshot of their homepage. And as you can see, their header 1, as I call it, is heading 1, Keep Australia Beautiful, take a step, get involved. And then their next header is called Programs. So I'm going to take you through a couple of things that I would do to improve this website. And I really appreciate Keep Australia Beautiful giving me permission to do this because I know it's very hard to take feedback. So hats off to you for willing to go down that route. So the first thing in this H1, as it's called, or header 1, this is a key hotspot. You know, the hotspots are the sections that people look to very, very eagerly for information. It's where Google looks to determine what your site is about. It determines how you get ranked. So I do think this needs an introduction. I think it needs some information here. It's got these great icons, but they don't mean a great deal to people. We can't find our way through. Where's our traffic cop, so to speak? So we need to direct people to pages. We can't assume people know anything about Keep Australia Beautiful. We need to provide some content here. So what I've done is I've written some homepage copy. So I'm going to just give you a second to read that as well. So what I've done there, I've just written some really plain English copywriting, trying to give a benefit of what Keep Australia Beautiful does. And I've also tried to target the markets within the copy. So even though it looks just like regular text, I've actually tried to be very strategic about writing it because the kids, the beach lovers, the desert dwellers and the city slickers are all the audiences that Keep Australia Beautiful target. And then I'll ask you to read this as well because this is where we start going more into detail about what the programs are.
So while we're waiting there, Bernadette, how about we go to a question from Anne? We've got a question from her saying, how do these traditional ways of defining marketing segments, demographics, physiographics, complement the type of information, motivation that is collected through social media? For example, I'm in business because I want freedom. I have started a business because I want to set the hours I work.
Okay, I'll take the first part of that question. How do traditional ways of defining market segments complement what we get collected through social media? Well, what social media is brilliant at is collecting the psychographic information, where we, not just the psychographic, but where we live, but what interests us. When you set up a Facebook page, you are asked certain questions about your interest, and as you provide updates and posts, you are indicating your interests and all sorts of things you're giving to Facebook. So it is a hugely valuable tool in terms of defining what interests people, which we've never had access to before. So it it complicates things too, because we're suddenly getting this real representation of who our market's made up of. So again, it makes it even more important to think about who is our market and how do we group them. So I think it's a beautiful opportunity to use social media to really understand. Twitter, not so much. We don't get to know so much about our Twitter audience, but Facebook, absolutely. So I'm hoping that answers that question. With the programs of Keep Australia Beautiful, this is on the homepage as well, and my concern with this one was there's this whole list that goes right down past the scroll bar, and it's got this whole long list with no structure to it. So people are coming to the site going, I don't know, which program's for me. I want to do something, but I don't know what. So what I recommended was maybe group the programs into logical groups. So, for example, you've got the WA Clean and Beach Awards, Clean Marine, Kevin the Crab. They can all go under beaches, marine and fishing. And then you've got schools and community clubs. Well, you've got the Clean Clubs program for that. You've got the cities and the towns and the outback. Well, you've got these two programs for that, and the prevention of litter. So that doesn't exist right now. It's just really is a series of programs. So I really encourage you to think about how can you group programs or things that your target market can get to it pretty quickly. Now, the next thing with this one, very important, this is a hotspot right up here, this top right-hand side. This is the first thing we see, and what we see is here, pay online for your infringement notice. It's like, wow, that's really punitive. So I would recommend maybe not having that right there because it is such a hotspot. You could use that for your email sign-up, your option there, like I saw in your website you've got these get free bumper stickers. What a fabulous opportunity to say to families, hey, sign up here, give us your email address and your address and we'll send you some bumper stickers. A brilliant opportunity to capture some data. There are other order opportunities here too, like clean up packs today. Order your clean up pack today and you get gloves and you get vests and you get, cleaning tools, and they're fabulous things. And I actually think that's what people come to, it's what some people come to Keep Australia Beautiful for. So that's buried, deep within some of your menu items over here. So I recommend using this spot over here, this right-hand side, for an email sign-up facility, or really, really great information that is going to make people engage with you. So when I talk about sub-menus, for example, I'll just go back one. In this case, this is on the wrong side, in my opinion. This is a weak spot in terms of eye reading patterns that have been proven with web scanning. People don't look over here, so I'd recommend you bring these up the top. If you find that you've got a whole bunch of menus and you just can't fit them all in, have a sub-menu, and that would look a little bit like that up there. So this is part of your site planning. It's very important that you use the hotspots on your website for the most logical places. Okay, the next thing I want you to think about is your reader. What's in it for them by coming to your site? You always have to be thinking, what's in it for them, the WIFM process. So I want you to think in benefits. And just taking this one over here, it says visit the cab. I've got a blow-on up section in a second, which I'll show you. But this is, it's in a key part of the website as well. It's on anything on the homepage is key. So it's like valuable real estate. You've really got to use it wisely. So I'm going to talk about how we can use that text more effectively in a moment. But also these sections here, latest news and Meet Kevin, competition winners, this is prime real estate. Don't waste it with things that are low importance. We'll talk more about what can go there. So I've just blown this up a little bit, and it says visit the CAB national website. So what I've done is I've rewritten that and in more consumer-friendly language to say things like, here's what we're doing nationally. View KABC's photo stream. Well, what we're saying there is great photos to post and tweet. Talking Rubbish e-news, subscribe. Why not say Talking Rubbish e-news? What's on, what's hot, grants, ideas. Giving people really good information that's going to inspire them to think, yep, I'm going to click on that, because we want the click. We want the click-through. So it takes thinking through. So when I did a bit more research here, I found this resources and case studies. And it was some great information, but buried deep, deep within the site. And for example, schools can get a free schools pack today. You can get a car litter bag here. You can order your community clean-up pack here. So all these fantastic opportunities should be, I think, on the homepage with opportunities for people to sign up and register, because your database is gold. You really want to start collecting information about your readers so that you can develop that relationship with them. So getting ranked in search engine optimization, there are three key factors. the page title, the page description, and the headers. I mean, there's lots more, but just from the meta tags point of view, and you might be thinking, oh, technical, yuck, don't want to know about it. But this is not technical. This is what you should know, and it's very easy to change. So how do you find out where your meta tags are? Well, you simply go into your site, and you go into View Source, and this will take you to what you'll see looks like a lot of gobbledygook. So your webmaster will be able to change this. You can't change it, but you can look at it, and you can in fact look at it for everybody's site as well. This is publicly available information. And this is what it looks like, and most people go, oh, I'm not going to go near that. But I encourage you to delve a little deeper, and as I have here for Keep Australia Beautiful. And the three things we really want to know about are things like the title, this little red thing here, title, Keep Australia Beautiful, and description. Keep Australia Beautiful, working with you to achieve a litter-free Western Australia. Now you think, well, what's the big deal about those two lines? Well, what happens, whatever text gets put in, say, the title, goes on here, which is what turns up in Google's results. And as we know, this is really important for determining whether people click on you or not. If that's not well written, people will turn off. If it's not benefit-driven, people will turn off. It's the same with the description, which is even more important because that's where people go for detail. So this is Keep Australia Beautiful, working with you to achieve a litter-free. So it's exactly the same text, and this is where it goes, and this is where it shows up. If you don't actively create copy for these tags, Google will do it for you, which is why you see a lot of gobbledygook in these two sections on search results pages. So it's very important that you do this for every page on your website. And I'm hearing you say, what, every page? Yes, every page. It's a challenge. Okay, so the title page, this shows up here too in the browser. And I just wanted to show you that's exactly where, you can see from page to page what each page is called. Google looks here first thing to work out what your page is about. So if you don't have some keywords attached to this that give some indication of, what the site's about, Google's going to have to, it won't rank you as highly, is the upshot. So that's the title page, very important. As you can see, these are all title pages, okay? These are just random search results, but I wanted to show you these are all the title tags that you can control. Next is the description tag. Again, this is something you control. And the next one are the header tags, and this is what we actually see on the page. So everyone's got an opportunity on their website to call something header 1, header 2, and header 3. And again, Google look to headers to determine what your page is about. So you might be thinking, well, how do I know what my keywords are? How do I know what key phrases I should be including that people are typing into Google? So that's a whole workshop in itself that I run, but I'll just quickly show you this Google AdWords external keyword tool. It's a bit of a mouthful, but just type in keyword tool, Google, and this will come up for you. And you can type in some phrases, for example. On this occasion, I was thinking about a council, thinking if they were talking about their rubbish collection, should they use the words rubbish collection, waste disposal, waste removal, or rubbish removal? Which terminology do people most type into Google to get information about rubbish collection? So when I typed this in, it showed up here that waste removal comes up with 40,500 searches every month in Australia, rubbish removal 27,000, and rubbish collection. So what that says to me is that the words waste removal are what most people type in with regards to a search. Now you need to do a lot more digging down to clarify that, but I'll just show you this tool. So if you're wondering, which words should we use, this is a free tool that you can use to give you just a starting point. So in this case, with Keep Australia Beautiful, we've got the header words here and the header 2 there. So they're lost opportunities that they could have used to create some great copy. Okay, so I'm just now going to move on to, membership sites are fantastic at creating great benefits for their members. So I thought I'd show you how, if you've got a program that you want people to sign up to, or you've got some kind of package that you think people would like to know about, why not present it in a way that makes it very benefit-oriented? And this Women's Network Australia is an organisation that really promote their benefits beautifully. So in this situation, they've got here on the left all the things that they offer when you become part of their program. And then across the top here, they show you who gets what. Now, this is a commercial operation, so it's a bit different necessarily to what you're offering, but I'm just trying to show you here's a way in which people can get very clear about what the benefits of belonging to you are, or being a member with you, or joining a program. So how do you get ranked highly? Well, there's loads of things to keep in mind. There's on-the-page and off-the-page factors. But the few things I just want to cover today are here. Are the pages well written, and do they have quality content? So that's copy. Have you researched the keywords people may use to find your content? So this is the keyword research we just talked about a second ago. Do pages use words and phrases you hope they'll be found for? And do visitors spend time reading, or do they bounce away quickly? Are pages fresh and about hot topics? So again, this is a workshop in and of itself, but this is what Google's looking for to determine how it's going to rank your page. And then we've got the things like I just talked about, the tags, the meta descriptions, and the headlines and the subheads, all absolutely essential for getting found on Google. So now I'm going to look at some headline formulas about how to actually write the copy. So we've talked about all the theory. Now I'm going to give you the tools that I use as a copywriter to write headlines very quickly, because I can't wait for inspiration. I've got to get going. I've got copy to write. I've got a deadline. So here's what not to do. Don't use clever headlines that you might see in a print ad or on TV. Now, I know no government website's ever going to go down this track, but I thought I'd just show you that sometimes what's really funny doesn't necessarily translate into web copy, because people scan, they're looking for keywords, and if they don't find them quickly, they skip around. So, we can't apply the principles of print advertising to the discipline of web writing. And these are all wonderful ads, they're award-winning, but they're not appropriate for web. So I'm going to come up with some headline formulas for you. And the idea of formulas is that you can write them quickly. They're tried, they're tested, they're proven. And the thing with headlines is if people don't get your headline up front and they don't think, yep, I love what that's just said, that meets my needs, it deals with one of my fears or my worries, they're going to move on. So the headlines are essential for getting people to dig deeper into your website. And even though these headlines from newspapers are amusing, I'm actually putting them for a reason, because they know more, better than anyone, the importance of a great headline, as we've seen from the Leveson inquiry. So they go to great lengths to get a headline. And I'm encouraging you maybe not to go to those lengths, but to think very carefully about your headlines. So here's the first one, the Here's How headline. And I'm going to just whip through a couple of examples that we see in websites all the time, just to show you that they are in use, they are tried, and they're tested. Business sites use them. You see them in all sorts of mediums. You probably don't even know that they're there, but now that you know the formulas well, I encourage you to start using them. The Here's How, or the How headline, is without doubt the most popular, because it invites people in to learn something. And as you can see from this slide, just the addition of one word can make all the difference to the impact a sentence has. So I encourage you to think about using the How one, because it actually promises that they're going to learn something. So I'm going to now go through some headline examples that you can use to suit your own business. And I've actually used some of the companies here that are the governments and the public sector organisations. This was the Department of Trade, how to make a small business large, join our e-learning small business mentoring service. So it's very simple. We could have said make a small business large. It's not quite as powerful as how to make, because it invites people in to think, I'd like to learn that. And what we've got to do is find the benefit. What is it that we offer? And then add the how-to it. So for Fair Work, here's how Fair Work Australia can assist you resolve a dispute. And then you go into the steps of what you do. But just the here's how, it gives people that incentive to go, oh, I'm learning something, and it's going to be all laid out for me. Here's how Dedda can help drive people to your next arts event. This was the Department of Economic Development, Tourism and Arts for Tasmania. So I put arts events in there, because if you've got a website and there's a particular page devoted to the arts community and arts events, you want to make sure that people reading it go, oh, arts, I'm an arts promoter, or I'm an arts producer, I'm going to read this because I want to know how to get people to my event. So you're always trying to think, who's my audience? Who's my audience? The next one is Ask a Question headline. Do you make these mistakes in English? This is a famous ad that was responsible for drawing in, bucket loads of money for an English language speaking program. And the key here is it's not do you make these mistakes in English, it's the word do you make these mistakes. That's the key word here, the power word, which makes people read on, because they go, well, I know I'll make some mistakes, but do I make these ones? So this is the power of just one or two words. So I'm using the art of the question here. In this one, the very popular blogging site, do you make these 7 mistakes when you write? So you can see that ad was written 50, 60 years ago, even longer. And here we have a website using it in the modern day. So it proves to me that these formulas do work. And then I've just come up with some other ones that might be relevant to the group here today. And this is for the council. That rubbish collection thing is on a bit of a roll with that one. Do you make these mistakes when you recycle your rubbish? Here's 5 easy ways to sort your rubbish quickly. I just know personally, when I'm sorting my rubbish, I think, can I put the lids in there? Can I put that bubble wrap? You know, basic questions that I think other people probably have. So why not have, you know, a Q&A about that as well? Just try and sort out what are the issues that your customers have. So the Digital Switchover Task Force, what is digital TV and why should I switch over? You know, I looked at your website and it's really good, and I thought, what, you know, just having a basic question such as that could be helpful to your readership. Then we're moving on to the list and the numbers headline. And this is based on the premise that, you know, someone's already gone and done the hard work for you. Someone's already created a list that's quite famous, and we're just going to piggyback on top of that. So you can adapt these formulas to suit your own needs, you know, the 10 commandments, the 7 deadly sins, and you can just really insert your key factor there. So I'm going to show you some more examples of how these can be adapted for your business. People love lists because it just does assume that the work's been done, but we've sort of unearthed all the nuggets. You know, all the gold nuggets are here presented to you on a plate. You don't have to do any more work. So here's 11 powerful ways to reduce risk when using social media. Now, VMEA, we're running workshops on risk management and social media. You can even mix and match your headlines that we've just covered, things like what is digital TV and why should I switch over? 11 powerful reasons why the switch will benefit you. Because I think for me, that's the key issue. You know, people think, well, why should I? What will I get out of it? In fact, that's what they're asking for every you know, decision is what will I get from it? So you can mix and match these headlines to create really powerful web copy. Here's another one, switching over to digital TV, the 15 crucial questions you need to ask. The 7 Habits of Highly Successful Social Entrepreneurs. That's a very famous book, of course, the successful people. But why not use it for your own? All you have to do is insert your key target market, and if you've created an ebook about this, then people are going to go for it. So I've just even outlined what the whole page could look like. You know, here's 7 quick and easy tips you can follow that will instantly make your social entrepreneur venture more successful. Discover why some social entrepreneurs flourish and others fail by downloading our 15-page report, Secrets of Successful Social Entrepreneurs. So what I've done there, I've coloured in yellow the key target market. So all you really have to do is insert your target market there, and you've pretty much got a pre-written ad that's going to work, assuming you already have an ebook that you can offer. So this, again, is providing great content in terms of content marketing to your audience. Quick tip, if you're going to use numbers in your headlines, it is best to use a 0 or an odd number, with the belief that if it's too even, it's not believable. So we're going to talk now about features and benefits, because this is the essence of why, you know, how copywriters write great copy. Now, this will be just a very quick test, but if you're looking at these things, you're probably thinking, well, what product is that? It looks pretty toxic, but these are the features, ingredients that actually go into making a product called Smart Start. So that is something we have over breakfast every morning. Do we really promote those features in our ads? I don't think so. We promote things like, you know, happy families sitting around the table. That stuff is also used in jet fuel and embalming fluid, so it's not a good look. So are we going to really promote embalming fluid, or are we going to promote happy families eating healthy food? So think about your business. You know, what are we promoting in terms of giving people what's in it for them? Now, for some reason, the slides have gone to blank. I think someone's on the other end having a go at trying to fix them. Would I be right in saying that, Asa?
I'm actually not sure what happened. I'll try and get it back up for
Okay,
you.
that's okay. I'll keep talking because that's what I do.
No worries.
And what I'll do is I'll just find my my notes. But in terms of features and benefits, the best way of looking at it is to think about a pair of leather shoes. Think, well, it's made of leather. It's all very well and good. But what's in it for me? Well, in it for me, it means they last longer, which means that I don't have to buy another pair so quickly, which means that I can spend the money on something else. They're made of leather, which means that they're more comfortable, which means that I can stand in them for longer, which means I avoid pain as a trainer. So you always have to ask the question, which means that? And that's what you should be asking of all your benefits as well, which means that, what's in it for them? So the next thing I'd like to ask you about is, testing your copy. Do you ever test your copy? How can you work out what's working and what's not? So there's a really easy way to do that, and that is to basically create 2 pages. One is to have basic copy on page A, and then you have page B, and you change one variable. It might be the colour of the font. It might be the headline. It might be the offer. It might be the font itself. So Google will serve it up. You have to organise that from the back end, of course. It'll serve up equal pages. 50% page A, 50% page B. And you can do your Google Analytics and work out which one works better. So instead of you in the office having to discuss, saying, oh, I think this colour's better, I think this offer's better, let Google do it for you and work out which page ranked better. So here's a quick poll. I'm going to call you in now if I can to conduct this poll. And the question is, out of all these colours, in terms of the Order Now button, which one do you think ranked the highest in terms of pulling in more orders? So it's simply, is it the red one, the green one, the yellow one, or orange? So which people clicked on most in order to order something? This is about colour, what impact colour has. So take your time, and when you've done that, A's is going to give us a result, and we'll be able to...
Just a few more moments, and then I'll close the poll and share the results.
Sure.
So I think everyone's popped in their answers by now. I'll just share them. And here we go. Okay,
red and green got equal. Well, interesting, right? Let me share the results with you, and thanks very much for participating in that. Orange, which got 6%, was actually winning by 27%. So what I think this proves is that, and because it's just a survey, but what it proves is that what we think sometimes is the best way to go is not necessarily the best way to go. So I think that it's worth using split testing to work out, which one's working. So let's moving on now to social media, and you might think, well, what's the link between social media and copywriting? Well, it matters a great deal. You think about Twitter, and to me, Twitter's like this huge newspaper with hundreds and hundreds of stories in there. It's been presented up to me at any one time. How do I determine which story I read? So to me, it's all about the headlines that you use when you write your tweets. So let's have a look at how we might do this. So for example, this Dynamic Business, it's a wonderful magazine. The first thing you need to do is write great content. Okay, we cannot get away. We've got to create great content that's of interest and value to our audience. So we write a great article, put it on our website, and then we write a tweet about our article or our product or our service, whatever it is. And then you write, in this particular case, she's written, meet Sean Ashby, the Aussie bum founder who's made it big bucks online, and then the link. So then when people see that, it stands out because it's giving us all the key information that we need. And then it takes us back to the site, which is what we always want our social media to do 90% of the time. And then we have these wonderful opportunities to share it with everybody, which is a great thing to do. And then step 4, the reality is we really have to write great headlines. And I look at master builders, and I just had a look at these, and I saw, wow, they've just used the same text. I've uploaded a YouTube video, I've uploaded a YouTube video, I've uploaded a YouTube video. And clearly we're all in the early stages of getting our heads around Twitter, so people are quite forgiving about everything, but I can assure you in a year or two we will not be forgiving of people making mistakes like this on Twitter. So I encourage you to get involved and get started now. So in this case, I just wanted to show you that, Dynamic Business used the headline formulas I just talked about. So here's how it's been used, the list of numbers, the here are headline is being used, and the question headline is being used down here. So it looks seamless. It looks like there's been no effort taken to write these headlines, but I can guarantee you there's been a lot of thought given to using the formulas of copywriting. So just moving on to Facebook now, some tips on engaging with the consumer. Well, the overriding sort of wisdom is keep it light and breezy, make it fun, and offer coupons and discounts and competitions to engage your audience. So it's important when you write your post to use action words like, take, submit, watch, post, check, comment, click, shop. These verbs are very important in all copy. You know, it's important to use verbs when you are trying to describe something. So when you're writing your little your post, you might want to have yes/no options or fill in the blanks or run a poll. You know, it's been proven that polls are very good for engagement with your audience, even if they're really silly, like, should I name my dog, you know, Fido, Jackson, or Wilbur? Yeah, even little things like that can really engage people. Make it easy. You know, this is not complicated stuff. We need to keep it simple. You know, probably aim it at the average 12-year-old. So if they can do it, anyone can do it. You need to maybe give a true or false opportunity for people. And look, I can tell you that, you know, Links and Impulse and Lipton and all the examples I'm using here, they look at this information very carefully to inform their product development, to inform their sales forces to, you know, has products been distributed to certain areas. You know, this is massively important for organisations to detect some data in a very real-time way. You might want to promote your customers or some of your constituents by incorporating them into the Facebook page. In this case, the Commonwealth have promoted one of their local customers, which is fabulous for her. And on this left-hand side, they're inviting parents to submit their children for a competition. So again, just trying to get that involvement. Dunkin' Donuts have a fan of the week. They get their picture put there. And do you think that's helpful? Yes, because that person is going to send that on to all their friends as well. So the distribution of that particular page just goes up exponentially every time they reward a fan, which is why they have the fan of the week. Intel do it really well. They offer exclusive content for their members, their fans, their likes, their friends. So if you can, you reward people for being a member of Facebook with you. User-generated content is something that's very hot at the moment. A lot of big multinationals are using this to get us to tell them our stories, and which they generate the advertising around that. So it's more about, you know, they're asking us to give information rather than feeding it to us. It's a very big shift in marketing. It's unheard of, and it's changing everything. Lancome is a property developer. They've done it really well. They're using a photo competition to engage their audience, and what they're trying to do is promote a property development and show how families are loving living in their homes on these properties. And as you can see, it's not just showing a house, saying 3-bedroom, you know, with a rumpus room and, you know, self-managed super. They're not doing that. They're showing families' lifestyle. And if you go through their site, I really recommend you have a good look. They provide quite useful information about activities for kids in Sydney. And then kids in Sydney. Did I say kidney? Kids in Sydney. And over here they do a little bit of a promo, you know, about the land for sale, but it's not too overt. So they're using that very nice ratio. Sydney Water ran a competition on design a label for a bottle of water, and they had a 12.5% fan growth in 1 month due to this competition, and it created some beautiful graphic images which the site could then promote. Recommend having a look at that too. They've done a very interesting thing with productizing their water. Welcome to the official page for Tap, a Sydney Water product. Quite unusual the way they've gone about that branding. Okay, so how often should you post? Well, the conventional wisdom is at least 2 times a day. Some people will say, 11 times a day. At worst, minimum once a week. We have to be realistic. Why do we need to post? Why is this important? Well, it's about the edge rank. You know, sometimes you'll find that your post may not stay around very long on the feed, and it's because you haven't done the background work to keep it up there. And that edge rank is determined by a whole series of algorithms, which are beyond the scope of this discussion today. So how can you be active and increase your edge rank? Well, it's post regularly, comment on others' posts, like others' posts, share others' posts, upload video and engage. You will be rewarded if you put in. I'm coming to the end now, so I just wanted to show you how copywriting can really help with creating some great content, but also about the time factor. If you think about creating content calendars, I don't know if that concept's new to you, but content calendars are simply spreadsheets by which you plan all your content out maybe a month in advance, and you have the date here, as you can see on the left-hand side, and then this is the actual words that you might use. Now, I've just written this for the trade and investment site as to what I might do for them in a very, fast way. And then the link here is where you want most of your posts to go and link to something because you want them to go back to your site. Okay, this is the objective of most social media. Not all of it. Some of it should just be pure content for them. But and then you want to measure your effectiveness too. So ideally you'll have some kind of download or some kind of measurement device where you can tell how many people activated this. So in this case, you might want to have an ebook on a topic that shows that, wow, we had all these people download it because of that particular post. That's a good way of measuring your success on Facebook. With Twitter, if you're a big organisation like many of you are, you might want to think about having multiple Twitter accounts. You look at Jetstar, they do it extremely well. Vodafone do it extremely well. And you'll see they've got multiple Twitter accounts for various different things. So it's worth having a look at how you might want to structure the Twitter. So you can plan all this in advance. You can use Hootsuite, and there's a whole bunch of other tools, but you can plan this in advance, upload it, and it just does it for you, so you don't have to be doing this every single day. So this brings us to the close, and I want you to know that you will be getting a recording of this webinar, and please do indicate on the form when you finish if you'd like me to send you the resources of the ebook headlines. I've got 19 formulas with loads of examples that you can use right now. They're tried and they're tested. And I can also give you the how to write web copy. It's a 10-page ebook on getting really clear about how to write web copy effectively. I would love to talk to you if you have any copywriting needs or you'd like a website planning session. And I'd just like to thank Webback Conferencing for inviting me to speak again to your audience. It's been a pleasure. And we've got just a couple of minutes for questions. I'm happy to stay around if you're interested. So thanks once again for having me.
Thank you, Bernadette, and thanks all for joining today's webinar. We hope you gained some valuable insights and found the technology very easy and engaging. Please take a moment to complete the exit survey and provide us with your feedback. Looking forward to seeing you again, and thank you once again.